Yo, what is going on, YouTube family? Today, let's talk about meditation. I am so happy, so glad that meditation has become I'd say the last 10 years, I've definitely noticed it's become so much more popular and it's made its way into more mainstream conversations. For me, one of the biggest things I've noticed about meditation for me in my life is not necessarily that it's made me a happier person, but one of the most noticeable things is it's made me more unwavering, right? So for context, I meditate every day. I've meditated every day since I was probably 11, 12 years old. And over the years, my meditations have got a lot deeper. I meditate for longer periods of time now. So now I'm meditating on average anywhere from half an hour to an hour every morning. And I'll do a shorter meditation in the evening before bed. And what this has really done for me, the first thing I noticed is now that I'm meditating daily and more consistently, I'm feeling a lot more calm. I'm feeling a lot more grounded and less pulled by emotions and less reactive in general. And I feel like this is one of the major benefits to meditating and developing a daily meditation practice, is that you'll start to feel way more in tune with yourself in a way that you experience less emotional roller coaster, just on a day-to-day basis, right? Let's say, for example, perfect example, if I'm in traffic and someone's cut me up on the road, maybe before my meditation practice, before I was consistent, I would react and shout, swear, whatever it is. I have less of that reaction now, for example. Another one, if someone annoys me, if someone says something that is just ridiculous or whatever, I catch myself going back to breath. And that is one of the first, let's say, pillars and one of the major aspects of meditation. As you start to practice it more, it's about your breath, right? It's about coming back to the breath, slowing the breath, being aware of the breath. And then you apply that to everyday life, right? So the practice is in the sat down, your own time meditating, however long it is. And then as you go about your daily life, you can apply that aspect of awareness to breath to everyday situations. And it brings a sense of calm into situations that you might have been more reactive, and that can take you down a whole path that you may not want to go. Now you can catch yourself, bring that awareness back to the breath, and then just slow everything down. And yeah, you just generally become less reactive. Like anything, at first, it's difficult. For most people, it's very difficult at the start to even sit in silence and sit still doing nothing for a significant amount of time. And especially when you are practicing awareness of the breath with mindfulness, and maybe if you're practicing specific types of breath work, that can be really difficult at the beginning. But it's like anything, right? It's never going to be easy right at the start when you're a beginner. But it's about taking small steps. So for me, when I first started meditating, again, when I was 11 or 12 years old, I was making sure that I was consistent with 2 minutes of meditation, 2 minutes of closing my eyes, maybe in silence, maybe listening to some calming music, but just focusing on the breath as much as possible. And one thing that's going to happen, this is just a fact for most people, is your mind is going to be all over the place. You're going to be thinking about this, you're going to be thinking about that. Your emotions might be all over the place as well, because of the different thoughts you're having, whether they're negative, whether they're positive. But the first thing is to even be aware of those things. And I think this is where the key to this whole meditation practice is awareness. You catch yourself in these moments of having all these random thoughts. And how I used to visualize it, actually, I used to visualize it like clouds. So any thought I had that came into my head, I visualized it as a cloud that was passing, right? And then another thought, cloud that was passing, another thought, cloud that was passing. And so you can start to be aware and separate yourself from the thoughts. That is one of the key aspects of getting that meditation practice to a more advanced place, is catching those thoughts and being aware of them, so you don't become the thoughts. You are separate from the thoughts, right? Once you do that, with time, the clouds, there might be, let's say 10 clouds passing really quickly every 10, 20 seconds, whatever, different thoughts. Over time, those thoughts start to slow down and they become less and less. The more you sit with it, the more you're aware of it, and the more you start to focus and bring your attention back to your breath, this will start to slow down over time, right? It might not be in a week, but it'll take some time. But the more you practice this meditation, and the more you increase the time where you sit in this peace, in this silence, and you practice this awareness, it gets easier. And then the thoughts get less. And then the longer you sit with it, the calmer a place you can get to. This is where you really start to see the benefits over time. And what are some of these benefits? Like I said, just a general sense of peace. You're much less reactive in higher stakes situations, low stakes situations, situations that are just annoying. You're less reactive in these situations. You're more present socially, which is huge when we're in groups of people, talking to friends, family, work colleagues, relationships. We can be a lot more present and really become better listeners and respond in a much more aligned way when we're more present, when we can really be with ourselves, be with the other person, or be with the group of people, and there's less brain fog, there's less thoughts flying in and out of our heads. It's all about that presence, right? And I think the meditation practice really helps with that. You're generally calmer under pressure. So again, in my situation as a touring musician, a lot of the time I'm in high pressure situations where I have to perform really well to loads of people, perform for TV, perform for radio, whatever it is. I have to be able to control my emotions and stay calm under pressure. And breathing, meditation, becoming aware of my thoughts, aware of my breath is one of the key components of that. Last year, I started to learn sales, right? Just as a new skill. And especially with sales in high stakes, high pressure situations where I'm on a one-on-one conversation with someone, it's getting maybe emotionally intense because they need to, battle their own objections, their own emotions to buy, whatever it is I was selling. I have to really be a calming presence in that situation. And meditation was such a great help in those environments and on those calls, because if I can control my emotion, control my breath, stay calm, stay present, the other person feels that, right? Energy's transferred. So that really helped in the sales context as well for me. And people really feel that with your body language, right? If you can start to learn how to breathe slower, be more aware of your breath, you automatically become more magnetic, become more present for people, and they feel that, right? Things like eye contact, open body language. There's a quieter confidence that comes when you really start to develop this practice over time, and you really start to feel it, and people start to feel it from you as well. I think one of the common misconceptions with meditation, and maybe a judgment that people have of it, is that it's some sort of woo-woo spiritual practice concept that is going to give you enlightenment, and it's maybe even unattainable for many people in their opinion. And for me, as much as I love the woo-woo spiritual stuff, and that's just something that I personally enjoy, I do believe that on a very simple, even scientific level, but on a very basic level, it's something that proven scientifically can really, really drastically improve someone's well-being, someone's mental state, the way they feel on an everyday basis through their lives. And this is what I say, for most people, it's not about becoming more spiritual, let's say. It's not about, always being happy or trying to work towards that, right? We're still going to have our bad days. It's not about becoming emotionless, right? It's about awareness and it's about stability, right? Every day just improving in a sense of becoming and regularly practicing something that can allow us to become more present, more stable, more emotionally stable and secure just on a daily basis. And I think for me, it's the consistency that's allowed me to not only generally improve my default state of, let's say, emotional well-being or regulation, just every day having that thing that's grounding me, and that's why I say, and I recommend to, my friends, family, it's like have that practice as soon as you wake up, first thing in the morning, before you get your phone out, before you start thinking about what you need to do for the day, just have quiet, center, be with yourself, be with your breath. And it just sets you off on a nice tone, a nice vibration, let's say, for the day. One thing that I really notice is when, for whatever reason, let's say I'm touring, got a busy schedule, there's a lot going on in my life. When I fall off my meditation practice, when I fall off the consistency, when I, let's say, spend less time meditating and less focused time, and I don't give myself that time, I really, really now feel the difference in how I interface with the world, how I feel emotionally. My eye contact is a bit hazy, a bit all over the place. I get a lot more mind fog. And I get more anxious, and I'm generally not an anxious person, but I start to feel this way when I fall off my practice. So it's really shown me the power of, building that consistency with it, and building a practice that can last, right? And this is why I say start small. And even with that point, just when it comes to mindfulness meditation, for me, I wake up in the morning, I cross my legs, I'm quiet, I focus on my breath. Sometimes I listen to some meditation music, some binaural beats. There's loads of free content on YouTube for that. That's my version of this. But I think, and as much as I think that is one of the most effective ways to do it, I'm sure there's many ways. I don't think there's any one rule, right? And so one of my favorite sayings that I actually just came up with is find your meditation. So whatever that is, for some people that might be, waking up and playing the piano. For some people that may be waking up and drawing something. It might be reading a book. But do something that centers you, right? Your mind can focus. It's not all over the place. And while you're doing that thing, breathe slower. And I think this, if we practice that, and especially if we do it first thing in the morning, can really drastically change our lives and how we feel and how we interface with the world every day. So I think the biggest takeaway and the thing that I've learned over the years of meditating is that meditation isn't going to drastically solve all of my problems in life, right? Life is still going to throw its challenges. We're still going to be emotionally affected by certain things. But what it has done is drastically change the way I experience life and the way I feel every day going through life, interacting with people, interacting with friends, with family, with colleagues, with random people. Socially, I'm more grounded. I'm not affected by, the random things that happen in life as much, that may be annoying or frustrating, less reactive, and just generally more present. And I think that is such a benefit, such a simple thing that we can do and start to build and do every day. It's beautiful. It's amazing. So I hope this has helped and given you some ideas for, building that practice in whatever way that may look like. It's late for me right now. That's why I might seem like I'm speaking a bit quieter. I'm going to hit the sack. Before I do that, I'm going to do a meditation, maybe a little 15-20 minutes, and I'm going to go to bed. So don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.